We have a massive Milwaukee Bucks trade update to go over today, as the Bucks are among favorites to land guard Collin Sexton. We're going to break down these trade reports and discuss what this means going forward for the Bucks. We also have multiple injury updates ahead of their next game, and some of them have fans a little bit concerned. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, a quick reminder: if you're part of the 83% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Bucks content. So thank you guys for your continued support. We're on the road to 3,000 subscribers, and again, thank you guys for your support. I see you all in the comment section. But ladies and gentlemen, it's no secret that that Jon Horst, is looking to make moves, looking to make improvements to the team. The team is in a bit of a skid right now. There's some things that need to change, but what hasn't changed yet is, of course, the roster. They haven't made a big move. And as the trade deadline is about a month away now, moves are going to start to come. There's going to be more and more reports and rumors. And a name we haven't discussed on this channel very much has came into the spotlight, and it is very, very interesting. And that player is Collin Sexton. You can see this here. The Orlando Magic are the favorite. The favorites to land Collin Sexton in a trade, but the Bucks are right there behind them at plus 600 per Bovada official. And we haven't heard too much. We've heard some rumblings about the Bucks linked to Collin Sexton. There's definitely been some rumblings there. But when you look at an actual report, and again, in this case, it's betting odds, for the Bucks to be plus 600, followed by the Lakers, the Heat, the Lakers make some sense as well here. But when you're looking at the Bucks, it is a very interesting fit. And we'll dive into the fit here. But again, the Magic are the favorites, but the Bucks, it's not like the Bucks are plus 1,400 or plus 1,200 like the Spurs and the Pistons and the Spurs, They are right there at plus 600. Now, take the odds with a grain of salt. This is more of a discussion point, though I do think the Bucks are going to be looking at potential options like this. Collin Sexton is a super interesting player. Now, does he fit what the Bucks need? That's the big question. We know they've been looking for a backup center to kind of accompany, replace, I guess, Bobby Portis. Their bench has been good at times. What Collin Sexton would bring, is it what the Bucks need? That is the big question mark. And let me know down below if you think it is. And let's begin with his stats as of late. So you can see this here. Sexton is set to become a UFA after the following, a couple seasons down the line in 2026. So after next season, upon contract expiration, he's shooting 48% from the field and 43% from three, which we'll dive into. But over his last 8 games, Sexton is averaging 21, 5, and 4 in about 30 minutes a game. For the Milwaukee Bucks, there's a few different ways you can go about this now, because there's one, Collin Sexton could be, whether you want to pencil him into the starting lineup or not is up to you. He's obviously a shooting guard. He's played point guard throughout his career as well. And he's been starting most of the games for the Jazz this season. The last season, he came off the bench a little bit. The year before, he came off the bench even more, was kind of a sixth-man guy. He's a very good player, and he is specifically a very good scorer and would be a very adequate facilitator, an adequate facilitator off of the bench. Now, I don't think he's a, starting point guard in this league. I don't think that's necessarily something that, the Bucks can use as a starting point guard. They have Damian Lillard. And the thing with Sexton and Lillard, that combination, I'm not entirely sure I like it. It is an offensive powerhouse, because Sexton is a bad defender by advanced metrics, by, all metrics. He is not a good defender by any means. Does that mean that they shouldn't acquire Collin Sexton? Not necessarily, though I do think they need more offense. You think about the starting lineup they've been running this season, and it's pretty clear. Dame, Andre Jackson Jr., Taurean Prince, Giannis, and Brook Lopez, especially with Chris Middleton out. Though Chris Middleton, which we have an update on later in this video, has been relegated to the bench. But you're looking at Dame, Andre Jackson Jr., Taurean Prince, Giannis, Brook. If you acquire Collin Sexton, and let's say you plug him in for the sake of argument into the starting lineup, Dame, Sexton, Prince, Giannis, Brook. That is a very good starting lineup offensively. But you have no point of attack defenders. You have no perimeter defense to even speak of here, because who's going to guard who? Who's going to guard the opposing team's point guard? Who's going to guard the opposing team's shooting guard? You have good defense from Taurean Prince. You have great defense from Giannis, and you have good interior defense from Brook Lopez, but none of that translates to perimeter defense. And that's the big question mark here. Now, if you keep Andre Jackson Jr. in the lineup, who is one of the better perimeter defenders in the Bucks and one of the better perimeter defenders in the league when it comes to, specific matchups, we know Ajax plays the first 5 to 7 minutes of each half and then gets subbed out. AJ Green's a very good perimeter defender as well. If you run that, and then you have Collin Sexton as your sixth man, similar to it was in 2021 when he got traded over to the Jazz, in 2022, I guess, this would be interesting now, because then you have a bench, and it becomes a bench of, intriguing. Collin Sexton, this becomes very intriguing now. Gary Trent Jr., Chris Middleton. Now, Chris Middleton's running you assume your 3, your backup point guard. You can kind of stagger some minutes there, because Sexton has experience at the 1, and he's a very good facilitator. So your 6-man Sexton, You have Middleton there. You also have AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr. Like this, at that point, would be a very potent offense off of the bench. And you still have your defense with AJ Green. Now, I do think they're trying to upgrade their defense. But if you go out and you get a guy like Collin Sexton, I think the reason they're favored is you go get a guy like Collin Sexton. You move on from Bobby Portis. You get a more defensive-minded big in exchange for Bobby Portis. Maybe one that can't shoot. Walker Kessler was a name that was brought up for a while. He's probably going to stay in Utah, but someone of that nature. Nick Richards, for example, right? Nick Richards and Collin Sexton. You get your offensive punch, you get your defense with Nick Richards, not perimeter defense, but you still have Andre Jackson Jr. Now, is the Bucks' priority perimeter defense? That is the question mark. And if it is perimeter defense, then things start to get a little bit interesting here. But let me know down below what your thoughts are. I mean, very intriguing. He's a very good player. He would help scoring off the bench immensely, specifically on-ball creation. Though you have Gary Trent Jr. for that, but when you look at the Bucks' actual backup point guard, I mean, they don't really have one right now. Ryan Rollins has been that guy. I think he could be serviceable in that role. But if they're trying to go all in this season, I think, getting Collin Sexton could be interesting. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Again, defense wouldn't be good for defense. He would be great for three-point shooting. He would be great for spacing the floor and being a guy off the bench who can facilitate, but also help take some of the pressure off Giannis or Dame in the lineups where one of those guys are out. So you can give Dame some more rest. You give Giannis some more rest. You have Sexton in, stagger it with those lineups. Could be good. Defense is still going to be a major issue, though. But speaking of injuries and things like that, some big injury reports have come out ahead of Tuesday's game against the Kings. So obviously, the big question marks coming into this game are Middleton. Middleton is out again with load management, and it is bilateral ankle injury management. A little bit concerning now, and we'll get into that in a minute. You still have Ryan Rollins, who is questionable, and Trent Jr., who missed the last game, and Antetokounmpo, who is available. Dame Lillard is off the injury report here. So Dame is going to be available tomorrow, or I guess depending on when you're watching this, available for the game. Giannis available in all likelihood. Ryan Rollins, questionable. Trent, questionable. The fact Trent's still questionable means he might be out again. But Middleton being out here, it's rough. I mean, they're load managing Middleton heavily, and you look at the lineups, like the team has been playing better without Middleton anyway, but having Middleton off the bench is still a valuable asset. And that's the big thing. Like, he's a valuable asset to this team in a limited role, in a role off of the bench. I don't think at this point you need to start Chris Middleton anymore. I know a lot of you guys were clowning me a bit a few weeks ago, and I said that I don't know if Middleton's going to be starting when he returns off of injuries after a while. Clearly, he started. You guys were right. He started off of the bench and then got into the starting lineup, and he's been relegated to the bench for a couple games. But now with Chris Middleton, like, he hasn't really been playing well. And now that he's injured again, he's approaching 34 years old. He hasn't really given the team much of anything this season, consistently when it comes to, he's been injured most of the year. So now the question mark is, if he continues to be injured and he continues to miss these games, that's going to put even more pressure on the front office to go out and make a move, because Middleton was supposed to be a bit of that savior. But now if he's not going to be this savior, what's going to happen going forward? That's going to be the big question. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. A big injury update. Middleton is out once again, and the Bucks are favorites to land Collin Sexton. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. And again, your guys' support's been unbelievable. Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.